I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So as we get started, we'll start with us at the end. I want them to share their name, where they are in school, what year they are, and what their major is. Okay, so Gus, why don't you get us started?
Hi everyone, my name is Gus Talkington. I'm a third-year law student at the University of Texas, graduating this upcoming semester. And then in undergrad, I majored in classics and letters.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Coriel. I'm attending the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm studying business.
Hi, I'm Catherine, and I go to A&M, and I'm a business major there.
Hi, I'm Emery. I also go to A&M, and I'm a senior computer science and statistics major.
Hey everybody, good to be here this morning. My name is David Reinders. I am a sophomore at Oklahoma State University. Go Pokes. Yeah, there we go. And I am a aerospace and mechanical engineering major.
Hey y'all, my name is Aiden Graham. I am at the University of Alabama and Roll Tide. I'm a freshman and I'm an international studies and poli-sci major.
Hey y'all, I'm Allison. I play soccer at St. Edward's University in Austin, and I'm a freshman kinesiology pre-med major.
All right, great, thank you. You can go ahead and hold it because we'll just pass it back down the line. Just so you have a chance to get to know them a little bit better, if you and their college, if you could mention maybe a favorite tradition that is at your college, and if you don't have one, that's fine. You could just tell us about your favorite class and or professor. So just kind of getting a feel for your environment.
Okay, I don't really have a favorite tradition yet because I've only been there for a semester, but I think my favorite class was my kinesiology class because you kind of learn about like exercise science and like movement of the body, and then we also learned about like motor skill development in children, and that was super interesting.
Well, as y'all can probably guess, my favorite tradition is Alabama football and singing Dixieland Delight and Bryant Denny at the start of the fourth quarter.
I'm gonna kind of do the same thing there at our Oklahoma State football games. After we score a touchdown and we kick the extra point, we have a horse named Bullet that runs out on the field and does a lap, and that's always kind of fun to see. I don't know if I've seen that at too many other schools, so I really enjoy that.
My favorite tradition at A&M is probably when we get our Aggie rings. It's like a celebration of reaching 90 credit hours, and so that's just really cool to like celebrate all your friends and everything. And then it's also cool like when you leave College Station because like you see someone wearing an Aggie ring or like you're wearing yours, and it just like automatically creates a really cool connection. So that's mine.
I wish I could say the same about Alabama football for A&M football, but we just did not have a great season, and that's okay. But one cool thing we get to do before the evening before a football game is midnight yell, and so it's just a fun tradition. You get to go at midnight, and the yell leaders do yells, and it's just fun to be in the stadium before a game. So that would be mine.
We may not have had the best season, but no one does college football like Texas.
We had an even worse season, but no one does college football better than the University of Oklahoma. That's where I went for undergrad. So.
Great. Okay, well, several of you didn't get to talk about your favorite class or professor, so let's go back down the line because we do want to hear about that because I know you guys are excelling in the classroom and enjoying your classes. So Gus, let's hear from you. And it could be, Gus, you could tell us about undergrad and law school because you've had a little bit more time on the pond.
So in undergrad, I really just took a lot of English classes. I really liked the Shakespeare courses a lot, but in law school, got to take some more interesting, like niche area classes. This past semester, I took a class on capital trials and mitigation at the death penalty sentencing phase, and they brought in a ton of really interesting guest speakers who were kind of expert evaluators who evaluated people on death row. There was actually a class where I went in and there was this guy sitting there with like a t-shirt on for like a nonprofit, and he was like got a big smile and like I waved and I said hi and I sat kind of next to him, and then it was revealed that he had been on death row for like 15 years or something. And so, but he was a sweet guy in the classroom, but it was an interesting class.
I would say that my favorite class was business communications, and in this class we did a lot of projects and speeches. And one of my favorite projects was like a case study where we would study a particular business and solve a problem within their business. So it was like myself and 4 other students. We wrote like a 15-page paper all together in 2 weeks, presented it, and presented not the paper but presentation. I enjoyed that. We did a project on Shein. I don't know if you guys heard about them, but we talked about problems with them. And then, yeah, we also did like TED Talks as well. So I really enjoyed business communications.
Coriel, tell us a little bit more about the TED Talk, because we're going to record Coriel this afternoon, his TED Talk. So tell the audience about that.
It's a TED Talk. It's just a presentation. We got to choose any kind of topic we wanted to and present it to the class. Particularly myself, I did one was called The Identity Effect. I kind of named that. So basically it talks about how we view ourselves, how we see ourselves affects the way we live. And so I talk about how we use identification, imagination, and integration. And that's basically what the identity effect is. If you want to learn more about that, you can watch the video later.
A&M does a really good job of like breaking up like rigor with fun like classes, and so just one class that really like I had the best time in is a kines class, and so I took pickleball my freshman year, and it was real fun because freshman year was my COVID year, and so it was a bunch of just online classes. But my professor was just the nicest guy, and seeing him around campus at such a large university is so fun, and he'll like say hi and remembers your name, and so just that class was a lot of fun, and I got to take it with some friends, so it was good.
My favorite class was probably a class I took the fall of my junior year, and it was called Programming Studio. And it's basically like the first class, like as a computer science major, where you have like big projects. And I just like loved it because our professor like gave us pretty like to give us parameters, but they were honestly like pretty loose. And so we had so much flexibility with how we got to like build our projects, and we really got to make them our own. And then there were only 3 projects in the semester, and they like increased in difficulty like as you went on. And then at the end, we built like this like fully functional like web app. Like we got to decide like what it would do and like what it would look like. And it was just cool because we were able to see like all of our hard work like kind of come together. And then we know that like we're not even done yet, which was cool. And then the professor for that class was also just like phenomenal. She was like very clearly passionate about what she was doing, and really like wanted to make us a good course. And so I loved that class.
My favorite course was my spring semester of my freshman year, and kind of similar to what Emery said, it was not only just an enjoyable class for myself based upon my own interests, but the professor that we had was really outstanding. It was CAD SolidWorks, so basically computer modeling of anything and everything, which is part of what made it really fun. I had no experience with it going into it, so I was totally new, but the professor just did an outstanding job of taking us from the most basic thing possible, literally how we make a 1-inch by 1-inch cube, just something super basic, to by the end of the semester, we were following engineering diagrams and making fan blades for wind turbines and, making something that was pretty complicated, relatively speaking, at least compared to what we'd started out with. So just very gratifying to see that kind of immediate progression, and professor, from day one to the final day of the final exam, just very open to give assistance, and very professional also. He gave a lot of industry insight as well. He worked for Sandia and several other companies during his time, and was able to share some of the wisdom, practical wisdom that he learned from those experiences. So I really appreciated that from him as well.
This is really hard for me to decide because I had 2 amazing courses this semester that I really loved, and one of them was my Spanish class, where I had a 21-year-old grad student teaching me who was from Spain, and just was the whole course in Spanish. It was my first time ever taking a Spanish class, but it was so fun, and he really understood where we were at as college students because he was right there with us, and was very gracious with us, and really was good with understanding. And then my second course was my Intro to Poli-Sci course, which is just the introduction to American politics. And normally you would have a professor that is very swayed one way or the other, But he was the most neutral professor I have ever had, and just quite honestly amazing. I did research for him in religious nationalism in the country, and he was amazing. Very understanding, very like, this is your course, like you're gonna get out of it what you put into it, and really like gave us the freedom to learn and provided us with very neutrally based information, which was amazing.
I think my favorite professor was my biology professor. She was super knowledgeable and really willing to help because it was a pretty hard course, but also I think with St. Edward's being a smaller college, the ratio like from student to teacher is a lot less. Like the class sizes are a lot smaller, so it's easier to get help from your professors, and then her being so willing to help made it a lot more manageable.
Great, thank you guys. Okay, so now we're going to transition, and we'd love to hear about activities that you are involved in on campus. And let's talk about academic, social, and athletic right now. And in a couple questions, we're going to really dig deep into your spiritual position on campus.
I play soccer at St. Ed's, and that kind of takes up the majority of my time, but I've gotten to meet a lot of really cool people, and it made the transition to college a lot easier, I guess, socially, because you go in and you already have like immediately 25 best friends. So that made it really nice, and it's really time consuming, but also really rewarding.
So I rushed at the University of Alabama. I'm a Pi Beta Phi, which was a very scary but very fun process at the same time. I love being in a sorority. That was like the first thing. I kind of was thrown into a group of women who were gonna support each other through the transition, and a group of like freshmen where we were all at the same place, which was very, very helpful to have that community like right off the bat. I'm currently serving as the member conduct representative for my member class. So I was elected in November for that position. I also serve the freshman class of the university as a first-year counselor within the student government. I was also selected to be a part of the mock trial team at the University of Alabama. I competed with Team Shaggy in the fall, which is our unstacked team, and was awarded Outstanding Witness for the fall at the University of Florida State's competition. And then I was selected for the spring A team. Yeah, those are like my main ones. I'm also a part of fun clubs like the Crimson Yogis, where we just do fun yoga everywhere on campus, which is very fun. And I'm also a part of the paddleboarding team, which, yeah, that's just one where we kind of just mess around, which is really fun.
For me, my probably biggest activity, if you can want to call it that, would be my time as an Air Force ROTC cadet. So I've really been very active in that program, and it's been very rewarding also. And there is kind of an academic, a physical fitness, and social component to that organization, as you'd kind of expect from military. So I've really enjoyed that. It's pretty much was 100 people, 80 to 100 people that you know by name always around campus. So that's been super rewarding. I know I could go on and on and on about that, but I'll keep my comments limited just kind of for the purpose of this discussion. But if there is anyone out there who has students that's maybe interested in serving, I can share just my little tiny bit of personal experience from ROTC. I'd be happy to do that. But beyond that, I'm also a member of the OSU Flying Aggies, which is the second oldest student organization on campus. This is a really, really cool club for pilots or for just people who are interested in aviation, and also students in the college. We have a lot of guest speakers come in and give us talks once a month at our monthly meetings. So we've had air traffic controllers, airline pilots, fighter pilots, just a bunch of, just a wide range of different people in the aviation industry. So that's been super fun just to kind of learn from, a lot of them are alumni too. It's a great network also, to kind of get integrated in with people who've been there, done that, and who also graduated from OSU. And then as a component of the OSU Flying Aggies, I'm a member of the OSU flight team. So we actually go and compete at national flying competitions around the country. So I attended one last spring, just right out the week after finals week. We loaded up 4 airplanes and took them out to Columbus, Ohio, and competed out there for the team. We wear bright orange flight suits, onesies. So we're pretty easy to spot. And it's just a lot of fun. We wear the cowboy hats and everything. So it's a great time. We're going out to Oshkosh, Wisconsin here in a few months to compete. So and I had no knowledge of this when I showed up to OSU, none. And then a few months later, I was on the team after trying out. So just a super rewarding and fun experience. Again, just another social network. And then the last thing I'll say, this is not as exciting, but for work, I do tutoring for the Oklahoma Math Tutoring Corps. So they kind of pulled a few college students from different colleges around Oklahoma to tutor 7th graders in math.
Okay, yes, I've been involved in a handful of different things throughout college. I think primarily I've been a Breakaway or a volunteer for a campus ministry called Breakaway Ministries. I can talk about that later. We talk about spiritual growth and stuff. But I've also had some work experience in college. I was able to work with the statistics department head and translate. I had some demonstration programs, and so I was able to translate those from MATLAB to Python for him. And then eventually that did turn into a research opportunity, where I was actually, instead of translating these programs, I was able to make my own programs. It was interesting. I only did it for a couple of semesters, but it was a really great opportunity, and it was he was a great mentor, and it was really cool to just see how working in academia would be like, and have a little bit of exposure to research.
I also went through sorority recruitment my freshman year and pledged theta at A&M, and served on their alumni engagement committee, and then also just recently served as their sisterhood director, which was really fun, getting to foster a community within a little organization on the campus of A&M. And then I'm involved in MSC Abbott Family Leadership Conference through the MSC at A&M, and so I was a delegate my sophomore year, and then just this year I am a director for it, so I serve as the co-director of operations, so venue planning and getting all that stuff for the sophomores and juniors as they attend the conference this spring.
All right. So I'm extremely grateful to be a part of what's called the 40-Acre Scholars Program at UT Austin. And so along with it being a scholarship, there's also community stuff that we do together. So we have stuff like weekly speakers who come in, or weekly dinners. And so we do a lot of different events together. I would say it's the main org that I'm a part of. And so it's kind of connected with Texas Exis, which is the alumni center as well. So we get to do networking events with alumni and everything. And secondly, let's see, campus ministry for me as well. I'll talk about that later. And then I've also been doing intramural basketball. Our team wasn't that good, but it's still fun.
So I'd probably say the biggest activity I've done just throughout my academic stuff is mock trial. I did it in high school here at Providence, and then in undergrad, and now in law school. University of Alabama's a great team, by the way. Congratulations, that's really cool. Oh yeah. And yeah, it's just a great activity for honing your public speaking and kind of getting you ready. What it is just kind of like a fake courtroom simulation, and you pretend to be a lawyer or a witness. It's a ton of fun. Met my fiance in undergrad mock trial, so great activity.
Wonderful. That was so fun to hear all of that. Okay, we're going to turn the corner and ask you now to tell us about what's been the most challenging thing about the first semester of college, and those of you that are older, the most challenging thing in general about making the transition to college, grad school, or college in general, and how did you navigate this challenge? Gus, you can go kick us off.
So I'd say one of the harder things that I didn't really think about was really kind of captured in the very first day. kind of when your parents leave and like you're all by yourself. It is a really big transition to just kind of be on your own. And it wasn't really something I thought about until they left the room. Just because, you kind of think that college will be fun like the very first second it starts. But that first week can be kind of confusing. Like everyone is exchanging numbers at like a rapid rate to try to make more friends, and then it's like you forget everybody you meet. And you really just kind of miss being at school here in Houston or with your parents. So that's definitely something that was a little tough. But finding your community is just so important those first couple of weeks. And yeah, that's kind of where like campus ministry and stuff can be involved as well.
I would say there's two challenges for me. Whenever I first arrived at UT, it's just a lot of different people, and I don't know if you guys know me, but like I like to be with people, meet people, and so for me, it kind of got overwhelming at points of like me trying to go meet everybody, like you said, exchanging numbers and forgetting people's names. So I think adjusting to that was challenging, like kind of finding my group and like learning to stick to that, but also be willing to go outside of that as well. So finding that balance. And then secondly, academically and just environment-wise, I kind of see college as learning a new language. So it's like learning the new style of how things are taught and how, projects are done, tests are done, how teachers are. And then, so first, like understanding that language and then being able to be like, okay, I got this now. So that's where I kind of feel like I am now. But it was challenging at first, but God's got me through it. So.
A&M is humongous, and so I would say what Gus was talking about, lots of just figuring out your people and who you're going to spend time with, and they all come at you at once, and it's like very much overwhelming. But once you find your group of people, it's really just super fun and rewarding. But just another thing I would say is time management skills. That is just such a fun lesson to learn in college. And so I got the advice of college is your job basically for the next 4 years. And if you go on to graduate school, maybe 6 or 8 if med school is your deal. But it is a job and your parents are paying tuition. And so just learning how to really like balance social life and academic life was very much of a challenge, but it's a good one to learn, and it's going to be that way for the rest of your life. And so you have lots of help on the way, and so I just really got to learn that freshman year, which was really fun. So that's what I would say.
I would say for me, probably the hardest challenge that I faced was just like the increase in workload. I kind of felt like coming from Providence, like it would be not that big of a deal just because like at Providence we write like so many papers and have classes that like are pretty like work heavy, which is a good thing. But and it did prepare me well, but it still is like different going into college. And so I would just say like you really have to learn, like Catherine was saying, like time management skills. And I feel like one of the biggest things that I've learned like eventually, like I think I'm finally doing this my senior year, is starting your assignments early, which you'll hear like so many times, but it really does make such a difference. And it definitely makes like the deadlines a lot less stressful. So I would recommend that.
I really like what Coriel said about a new language. That's kind of does sort of capture a little bit of what I was going to say also. For me, I would say showing up, kind of just getting used to the other obligations that you have as someone who is living on your own. You might be aware of the fact that, yeah, you got to go out and shop. You got to go out and, go to the laundromat. Your car breaks. You have to bring it to get fixed. All these little things that you just haven't maybe experienced before while you're in high school. And then on top of that, yeah, you're also a professional student and you have, all the things associated with that. And frankly, I found that was probably the easiest part for me because, like, we know how to be students. Like, this school teaches you how to be a good student. So as soon as you sit down at the desk in college, yes, there are some differences, of course, that you have to adapt to. But frankly, at least in my opinion, that part was kind of the least of my concern. And it was more about adjusting to just doing all of the extra things outside of class on top of that and time management. That took me about a kind of semester to figure out how I wanted to organize. But after that, got adapted pretty well. So.
Mine would probably be like just adjusting to like living on your own. learning how to shop for yourself and how to eat healthy and buy like good groceries and spend your money well, and in chunks, and like learning that skill. But also like I was first year living without my sister, and it was my first year being like without being here for her birthday, and like that adjustment of like, oh, I don't have my little sister there anymore kind of thing was very hard for me. Just like coming with that. Also, just I don't think anyone really tells you like freshman semester, like first year is gonna be lonely. It's gonna be hard. Like you're gonna meet all these people and like you think you're gonna find your best friends right away. And then like some of the people like I've met like first day of Rush, like August 1st, I was like, don't talk to anymore. And I thought they were gonna be my best friend. And so it's just trying to find that community and find that group, which can be hard and can be very lonely at times, but just like knowing how to get through that and knowing how to press through was probably the biggest challenge.
I would say for me, probably the first week was a big challenge just because we got there, we had like 3 to 4 hours to move in, and then we were in meetings all day, and then practice started the next day. So it's kind of like you just got thrown into the deep end. But I feel like I learned a lot in that short span of a week. And yeah, I think that was challenging, but just throughout the semester, you learn how to manage your time, and you learn how to more study skills and just how you want to balance everything. So I think each semester it'll get a little easier to transition.
All right, thank you guys. So we touched on it earlier, but now's your time to really dig deep. We want to know how you have kept your spiritual life vibrant away from home. So whether it was through church, campus ministries, or some other organization where you've gotten involved.
Yeah, so I found a church, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th week being in college. It's called Red Rocks Austin. If y'all are ever in Austin, it's awesome. But I went with a volleyball girl that I met, and then some of my soccer teammates also come with us, and it's super fun. We love it. And then we also found a small group through there that meets on Thursday nights, so that's been really fun.
I'm still church shopping. Tuscaloosa has a lot of like different churches, and it's like going out of your way to like find them. But I'm still church shopping, hoping to find my church home next semester. But I've been to like I think like 6 different churches. It's been crazy, but that has actually been like really fun and helped me like grow a lot, because I was getting to experience like all of these different styles of preaching and all of these different beliefs within like Christianity, which was really cool. But I also like reverted back to like watching my home church online and that kind of thing. But being able to also, I think, have conversations with my non-Christian friends has been also really fun and very like beneficial for me. Just growing like, okay, yeah, I know why I believe what I believe, and like knowing how to articulate that to people who don't believe the same way, which has definitely helped me grow a lot.
Probably one of the most valuable pieces of advice that a teacher actually here my senior year gave our class and really impressed upon us was when you go into an unfamiliar place, like college, maybe you're in a different town, maybe a different state, find a church and find one quickly. And now that doesn't mean that you have to necessarily choose a church. The first week you go to a service, that's it, become a member. Certainly not that, but just make a habit of attending, because that is something that could be very easily lost. And I found that advice to be really helpful, and I was fortunate enough to find a church home very quickly. Again, Stillwater makes it a little easier because it's a small town, so not as many options there. But we attended a couple different churches and found one pretty quickly. So attend there every Sunday. Also, RUF, Reformed University Fellowship, an absolutely outstanding campus ministry. Can't say enough good things about that. We have large group every Wednesday night, and there's a bunch of small group Bible studies also offered throughout the year. I attended a freshman Bible study my first semester, which was great just to get to kind of know the freshman class in RUF. And then a study on dating and marriage we had this past semester that was actually at my campus minister's house, which was kind of fun. It's just a nice getaway to kind of remove yourself from like the college where everybody is 20 years old and has the same problems, and kind of just go back into a home and just get into the Word that way. So I found that to be super great. And then as a kind of another little thing, I attend a Christians in Aviation Bible study, which is really small. We call them CIA meetings. It's at the Flight Center. And those are really good because when you're around pilots, the tendency is to only talk about airplanes, like all the time, because we love flying. But it's really fun to kind of have a opportunity to talk about something that really matters at the end of the day. And it's good to get involved with a different group of people than RUF, and to again get into the Word and study that that way and talk about something that's really the most important thing in your life. So
Yeah, so I've been able to also get involved in a local church, which has been probably like one of the biggest sources of community in college for me, or Christian community. And it's just been super great being able to like volunteer with them, and like every semester I've participated in a different small group Bible study. I've done a lot of college Bible studies, and then I also did a multi-generational this past semester, which was really cool to like learn from women who were like in different stages of life than me and who like had so much more wisdom than me. So that's been such a great, like I said, source of community. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I've also been involved in Breakaway Ministries for several semesters, which I've served as a volunteer, and that's also been super great to just meet other Christians who constantly are encouraging me. And then I would say like one of the biggest things for me that like I look back on my semesters, I'm like, okay, like that was a semester where like I was like very closely walking with the Lord. Our semesters where like I don't know, I think college can be really hard because each day is different, so it's hard to like get in a rhythm of reading your Bible every single day. But I think that like semesters where I have like had a consistent schedule and like have some time with the Lord, like in the Word every single day, have just been like remarkably different than any other semester. So that's something I would just definitely recommend to any current college student, is just like if you feel like you are struggling and like distant from the Lord, I think most churches preach that, but just make sure you are like making time for that even in your busy schedule.
Yeah, for sure. Not to plug A&M again, but A&M has like a great and rich circle of churches, and so I attend Restoration, and it is a Bible church there in College Station, and so it's filled with like a lot of college students, but it's super cool to see people your age worshiping the Lord, and so they do this missional community group, and so every week you find which one you want to attend, and it's like a midweek Bible study, and you can pick whether you want college students to lead it or there's some with families, and it's just a cool way to meet midweek and not let the sermon just sit there on Sunday, a very tangible way to apply it to our lives, and so it's really cool. And then I was also involved in Impact, and Impact is basically a Christian fish camp at A&M, and so freshman year got plugged in after I attended and was a counselor, and then was a prayer teamer last year, and being a prayer teamer is a cool role. It's hard to explain without actually doing it, but basically what you get to do is you get to pray for the freshmen as they attend the sessions of the retreat, and so just getting to learn dependence upon the Lord was really cool and neat in that experience. And then just community. The Lord has made us to walk in community, and in college is such a cool way to be able to start that on your own. And so finding a godly group of people, and church is a great way to do that. And then I found a lot of really awesome friendships through Impact, and just watching people serve the Lord and love the Lord. And so, yeah, those are two things I've gotten to do that have just impacted me. There you go.
I go to a church called Eastside Community Church, and it's about the size of this room, maybe a little bit more people, but it's a very small community, but it's a mighty community. And it's filled with college students and also, like older mentors as well, people who are in their 20s, 30s, so it's a variety of different ages. So I get to, like they were saying, get viewpoints and advice from people who are a little bit older than me and also people who are my same age as well. And within that church, we also have our campus ministry, which is called Alpha Omega. And so, we do different events throughout the week. We have Wednesday Bible talks, and then we have just sports events on Saturdays. So it's been really good to have that community of friends and brothers and sisters to keep each other in the faith and also help each other to grow and pursue throughout the school year.
So yeah, I'd second the community church. It's really important to find some place close by, especially if there's a family that can kind of adopt you as a college student a little bit is always very helpful. In undergrad, it was very easy to find a campus ministry group. I'd say if your kid is going to a large public university, they will be very visible. I remember the first week of my freshman year, it was the week before classes, so I was kind of just wandering around like I didn't have anything to do. And I see all these people kind of sitting in groups with these light blue InterVarsity t-shirts, and I was like, man, I want to be part of one of those groups because they're everywhere. And so yeah, eventually I got one of my light blue shirts, and I was in InterVarsity for years and years. It's just a great on-campus organization, so really helped just with your walk to have like-minded folks around you.
Wonderful, thank you guys. Now we'd like to hear from you on different employment experiences you've had. First of all, I'd like to hear how many of you are working while you're in school, and then also I know many of you have had amazing summer internships, and so we'd like to hear about both of those. So Gus, would you like to get us started?
Sure. So in undergrad, I would say the internships are really important, especially if you're going into work right after. I was mostly doing internships that would kind of help me with the law school admissions process because I knew I wanted to go to law school after freshman year. So I did an internship in DC for a summer working for a congressman there, and that was a ton of fun. It was unpaid. Unfortunately, most undergrad internships are unpaid. But just good to kind of meet some folks and to be out of kind of where your college vicinity is. I'd say it's always useful if you can go out of state potentially. In law school, I've done some work with some law firms in Houston. I really want to do trial work because I have a mock trial background, and so that's kind of what I've been focusing on is civil litigation and trial in that area.
And Gus, I understand you already have a full-time job. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So I'll be working for a firm called McDowell Hetherington in their Oakland office in California. So I'll be heading out west after I graduate.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I'm still currently on the summer internship hunt right now. There's 2 companies I'm thinking about. But I do currently run a clothing business still for my dorm that I'm working on in college. So I guess you can consider that my job that I'm doing along with school, which is a job as well.
My freshman year, I worked as a Pine Cove summer counselor for their city camps, and so I got to do that. And then actually, a company was really kind, and they let me do an internship. So I worked half the summer as a camp counselor and then worked at a small wealth management firm in Houston, and so that was really fun. And then last summer went back to camp and have just really grown a heart for nonprofits, and so got to work at a nonprofit for the other half of summer again. And then this summer I'll be going back to camp as a senior counselor, so I'll do full summer, which has just been awesome, and it's just another way I have grown in my walk with the Lord. So
yeah, so between my sophomore and junior year, I got to have an internship at a company called McKesson Corporation. It's like a big health and pharmaceutical company, and I was working for them as a data science intern. It was really cool. I really had some great mentors there, and in that role, they gave me a very specific project, which was nice because it was my first real industry work experience. And so it was pretty guided, and they really helped me out. I learned so much about industry and made a lot of network connections through that, so that was really great. And then last summer I worked for Lockheed Martin. My title was again data science intern, but I would say it was probably more data engineering, which are similar, but that was also really cool. It was very different from McKesson because I didn't have like a single internship project. I was really just picking up work that a normal full-time employee would take. So it was kind of scarier because of that, but it was really good experience. I learned so much in both of those roles, and I'm just super grateful to have had that experience. And those were paid, so that was cool.
Emery, can you quickly tell everybody here about your 5th year master's program that you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. I'm graduating my undergrad in the spring, and then in June I'll immediately start a Master's of Science in Business. It's kind of like an MBA. It's like under the same umbrella at A&M, but you don't have to have industry experience going into it, which you do for an MBA at A&M. And then it's also really short. It's only 11 months. And so I'll graduate in May of 2024 with it. But in this program, it's really cool because part of the curriculum is to start and close your own business within like 4 or 5 months, I think. And so their whole slogan is like learn business by doing business. So I'm excited for that, and I think it'll be really cool to complement my like technical background with more of a business background. So I'm excited.
As I alluded to earlier, for work, I do tutoring, which is nice. It's not a ton of time commitment, but it pays pretty well. So I've been blessed to have that job for going on 2 semesters now. I am still on the internship hunt as well. Might have to talk to you about that, Lockheed Martin. That sounds pretty good. But I did have a huge privilege of getting sent by my Air Force ROTC detachment to the Air Force Academy this past summer for a 3-week professional development training to learn how to fly gliders in Colorado Springs. So pretty much couldn't ask for a better summer opportunity than that. It was an absolute blast to get to travel out there, put on the uniform, and meet all the cadets there. And they're doing some great work, and just enjoy the nice Colorado weather in the middle of summer. And it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do in my life. So again, not a necessarily an Oklahoma State specific thing, but it is kind of a unique college experience with college-aged people. So just fantastic opportunity.
So I didn't work my first semester, but I am planning on applying to work as a tutor for the Alabama sports teams. Hoping to get football, that'd be really cool. But I have a friend who does that, and it would be a lot of fun, and she likes it, and it's not a huge time commitment. But internship wise and like just experiences, this is not really an internship, but I'm going to I'm going to New Zealand in May to study literature there, and I will be there for 6 weeks. But I also have a couple of DC programs lined up through the American Enterprise Institute, which I'm a part of, and yeah, we'll see where those go. Trying to fit them in, but yeah.
I'm also on the internship hunt, hopefully at a physical therapy clinic somewhere, just to get some hands-on shadow hours and also be an intern. So hopefully do that over the summer. And then also I train little kids in soccer, which is super fun. So
Okay, wonderful. So now we'd like to hear, since we have a lot of parents in the room, what advice would you give to our parents as they're guiding their students toward their college choice?
I would say, I know my parents really left the decision up to me, which I was super thankful for, because ultimately it's you going to college, not your parents. So though their opinion is important, it's also your decision. So I think it's important to ultimately leave it up to your student.
I will echo that. That was like such a big blessing, like to let my, like just kind of have my parents follow me and like, okay, hey, we're gonna just see where you want to go and explore different options. Because like when I started the college search process, I was convinced I was gonna be going to Columbia, like graduating in 2 years, going to get a journalism degree, which it's not where I'm at now. But they were like, okay, let's explore this. Let's explore the options. Like, let's see where you can go what the steps are going to be, and just really helping like guide me in that direction of, hey, okay, maybe this is not exactly what you want to do, and just listening to me. In times I know there was a lot of times last semester where I was like, I feel like I'm in a holding pattern, I don't know what I'm doing, and they just let me talk and not offered me advice right away, which was huge, really huge. Just feeling like I could voice my concerns to them of, okay, I'm kind of freaked out about, I don't know where I'm living in the fall, like I don't know where my head's gonna be at, I don't know what class I'm taking, kind of thing. And just instead of jumping at me with advice right away, just letting me listen and get things off my chest, which was huge during the whole college search process. Again, with letting me just kind of do my own thing and letting me fall and make mistakes first. Yeah.
My advice to parents would probably be to kind of counterintuitively actually let the student take charge as much as possible. They're the ones who are going to be living with their decisions, and it's also just helpful if they're the ones who are researching more about each college, since they're going to know more when they show up to one of those eventually. What I will say is try to avoid fixation on one particular university. There's probably multiple universities that could be a great fit, potentially. So, encourage them to apply to several universities if possible that interest them. Really take some time to help your student kind of feel out what opportunities may be available. And then finally, I would say have an adult conversation about finances prior. That's a big thing about part of college, it's really expensive. So determine how much you're able to contribute toward your student's education, if any. And really kind of, I guess, just share that with them as early as possible, because that should help narrow down the pool of schools that are kind of within reach and kind of avoid the, getting your hopes up too high maybe.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that's been said. And also just say, like, as your students exploring their options, if y'all can, like, help them tour schools, I think that was super helpful for me. I know it's kind of hard because some of them are really far away, but I feel like those schools are, like, such a hard decision because they are far away, and so it's really good to, go tour. I would encourage your students to do, like, overnight visits. That was really helpful to me as well. And then also, I think that Mrs. Post and he was a college counselor when I was here, and then Mrs. Scott also seems awesome. They're just incredible resources who, like, I just went to with a bunch of questions, and I'm sure if y'all, like, have those questions, I would definitely go to them because they're very wise.
Yeah, being supportive sounds like a common theme here, and so I would just say, like, be supportive, be encouraging. Like, this is a big step in a senior's life, and so I know it was daunting to think about going to college and not having my parents there, and so these are the last, few months you get with them, and so just be encouraging and be supportive of them, and then just walk faithfully beside them, I would say, and continue that into freshman year. I just remember my mom sending me things every morning, and I was like, man, this is awesome that I have a mom who is willing to wake up before I do and send me something encouraging. And so walk alongside your student and pour into them, because this is the last you really get in their life, and then they kind of grow up and they're like, I don't really need you that much anymore. And so I would say just walk faithfully alongside them for sure.
Going off of what a lot of you guys said, I feel like allowing a student to have charge is really important, and that doesn't mean they're making all the decisions, but that means they're making the main decisions, and also filling in the role to help whenever you can, or whatever connections you have to that university, someone who went to that university, recommending, hey, you can talk to this person who I know, just offering different connections to within your network to help your student to learn more about the school from other people as well who've been to the school.
So my advice on maybe if you're helping build a college list or something like that is to pick schools that have lots of good options at the university in case they change their mind about what they want to do their first year. For me, I went into college like a lot of other students who overestimated their math abilities to be an engineer. I really wanted to be an engineer so bad. My dad is an engineer, and all my heroes were engineers, but even throughout law school, I haven't taken a class harder than general chemistry. So So yeah, the weed out classes are tough. And if they're going into a Bachelor of Science, there's going to be a lot of these like weed out classes where a lot of people get pretty bad grades. And so I pivoted pretty hard after just a single semester, and I was lucky to be at a university that had good arts programs as well as good science programs. Lots of good like constitutional law classes and that kind of thing. So I think that if they're already very interested in a specific subject and they've really shown that they've loved it and then they can excel in it, then it would be better, and it would make a lot of sense to go to a school that was really good at that particular program. But if they're still kind of thinking about what they want to do, then a school that has lots of nice programs is always great.
Wonderful. Okay, we would love to hear now, what do you appreciate most about your experience at Providence now that you're away, and in what ways did Providence best prepare you for college? Gus?
Sure. So I guess one of the things, cycling back to the mock trial thing, is that was of course really helpful to have a program like that. It's really rare to see high schools with a mock trial team. I'd highly recommend it. If they haven't done it yet in high school, you should tell them to do it. It's great. And that just helped a lot with public speaking and writing and preparing. And of course, the curriculum of Providence is really well suited to law school, specifically use of the Socratic method. You have to write a lot in law school, and you have to write really quickly because the exams are about 4 hours, but you have to write like 15 pages in that time span, like really quickly. And Providence is really good at gearing you towards that, because a lot of my tests, at least when I was at Providence, you'd get like a piece of paper and you get a prompt. You have to like write a full page under that prompt. And being able to build an outline in your head and then execute it on paper immediately is always going to be an invaluable skill. And then, of course, beyond that, just having the Christian community at Providence and kind of getting used to it, and then also understanding the benefits of it is going to be useful, because when you're in college, you're going to want that exact same benefit. You're going to want to follow that and maintain it as you get older.
One of the main things that I feel like Providence teaches us students is not just what to learn, but how to learn as well. I think like knowing how to learn is a very key thing for college and university, because you're not just holding your hand the whole way in college. And I feel like here, we have great relationships with our teachers and everything like that, but we're taught like how to learn ourselves as well, and that's been really helpful for me. And then secondly, I would say we do a lot of speaking at PCS, a lot of presentations. Like I remember 6th grade, we'd have going by 6th grade, like Bible presentations where we do scriptures like every week. And so I've had a lot of practice from 6th grade all the way to thesis of just presenting. And I feel like that really prepared me for specifically my major. And I feel like it's given me the opportunity to be at a spot where I can excel within my speaking. So.
Providence does a great job of cultivating a love for learning. And so my freshman year, I was on a Zoom class, and my professor was just like outright atheist, was just super blunt about it, and I was just like, good grief. I came from a small school where everyone was Christian, and this is hard. But junior and senior year at Providence, you get to take apologetics and ethics, and so I was like, Mom, you got to bring my apologetics and ethics binders up here. I got a professor who was just one of those people, and so just getting to actually use what I learned at Providence, and I was very intimidated by him, but just reinforcing that learning of like, these are skills and these are classes I get to take with me as I am at A&M. And so I just think Providence does such a great job of like training your student in training and cultivating that love for learning.
Yeah, academically, Providence definitely prepares us well to write papers. Engineers really hate writing papers, but I've been in group projects before, and I think that my skill in that has really been super helpful, especially compared to where my peers are at, I guess. And then also I think just personally, Providence really teaches you so much biblical knowledge. In my 10th grade history theology class, I remember as an exercise we went through several local churches' statement of beliefs, and our teacher at that time taught us how to evaluate these statement of beliefs and kind of what to look for in order to make sure you're finding a biblical church. And that's something I was able to use last semester. I studied abroad, and so I was able to evaluate churches based on that. That was huge. I think that skill really just came in handy.
For me, I'll highlight two main areas. The first of these would be Christian worldview. Providence does an outstanding job of impressing upon students the value, importance, and utility of the Christian worldview. And I found too, especially attending a public university, even one that is maybe a bit more conservative and kind of, in the Bible Belt, Christian worldview sees honestly the problems in the world and provides the solution, which is Christ. And it's just been super assuring to have that lens through which to view everything, honestly, in a new and foreign place like college. Second, I would say communication, both written and verbal, is absolutely huge at Providence and is just so valuable out in the real world and in college. I'll give one example. The second week of college, I was asked by the commander of our ROTC detachment to give a briefing in front of the entire wing of about 100 people. So it wasn't a big deal though, because I had just given a thesis only a few months prior and defended a thing for 30 minutes. So a 5 to 10 minute briefing was no sweat. So it really gives you the confidence to speak clearly, concisely also, especially when you're writing emails and stuff. And people really appreciate that, and I've found that to be extremely beneficial, Christian worldview, and also communication skills.
I mean, I'm just going to echo everything everyone's already said, but just the love for learning. I had classes where attendance was not mandatory. I could definitely not have shown up to class and gotten by just fine, but like wanting to like go in person and be there and like actually learn the material was like that drive that Providence gave me, and like just to want to excel in learning and do that kind of stuff. Also, again, communication. I think I've had people tell me, they're like, you speak like you're so old, like I could never do this, or like just you could get up and talk to people. I've talked in front of my whole sorority, which is like 400 girls, and which can be very scary, but Providence prepared me for that. And I think they also prepared me for time management skills, especially senior year. I felt like I was given a lot of freedom to manage my own time, and that was very much carried over into my first semester of college. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everyone said, but one thing that stood out to me was my freshman biology class was pretty difficult, but I felt really prepared because, well, we had Miss Bentham, but she was great. She prepared us really well. Her class was also really hard, but I think going into college, it gave me confidence that, like, I know how to study, I know how to take a lot of information and prioritize what's important and really learn the material.
Wonderful. Well, we have lots more questions we would love to ask, but we want to open up the floor for a few questions. We only have about 7 minutes left, so who would like to ask a question? Okay, right here.
I would love to know, with your classical Christian education background, did you feel how you interacted with the professors was different than maybe some of your peers in class that maybe had a public school background or a different background? Do you feel like the classical education, how you dialogued and like mastered the material was a little bit, looked different with your background?
Why don't we have just one or two of you take that question? Who wants to take it?
Definitely how I interacted with professors. I saw them, like, growing up and having Providence for 6 years made me like not scared to talk to my teachers. Like, I knew they were there to support me and I was there to learn, and so if I wanted to get anything out of it, I would need to talk to them, which on the first day, like, I think the biggest advice people gave me was go introduce yourself, because then they're gonna know you, you're gonna stand out. You introduce yourself on the first day of class, and I wasn't scared to do that, and that definitely helped a lot. It was really hard, the transition of like my teachers who know me and like know my personality and know how I function well, to people who don't know anything about how I learn or that kind of stuff, but just like going and being in their office hours or talking to them and not being scared of that, Providence very much prepared me for.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I could say something. If you ask any math teacher or science teacher about me here at Providence, they probably say that I came to their office a lot. I was that kid who just come in and ask questions at lunch a lot. So I kind of was already in that habit of doing that. And so I feel like having that safety to feel like, oh, I can do that here at Providence. I could also bring that to UT. It was a little bit of like challenging at first, but because I practiced with that, going to teachers, asking them, once I feel like, okay, I could do that here as well, with a little bit of encouragement from my parents as well. So I feel like being able to do that here at Providence and then apply it to UT really helped me to get through, especially business calculus. So
If I could just brag on Coriel, we use him as an example a lot. He came to visit us in our office every single week, and it paid off. He knows how to use his resources well. So thank you for putting that flag in.
thank you guys.
Okay, what other questions do we have? Yes.
I have a question. So part of our mission statement, I guess, is impacting the culture for Christ. And so I know for me in college, going outside of my college community and volunteering and being with people that don't look like me or not in the same bubble that I am, and impacting that culture, how have you been able to do that in your college experience, or if you have or not?
Yeah, so I've been lucky to have some really great mentors in college who have encouraged me to do just that. Like Catherine was saying, there's a really vibrant Christian community at A&M, but it can sometimes be a bubble where like you only know Christians. And so these mentors really put me out of my comfort zone and really like taught me well how to share the gospel and gave me confidence. And then they went with me like to campus and to parks and such to actually like start spiritual conversations, like try to share the gospel. And so I suppose like that's my best answer for like how I've tried to impact the culture for Christ. But yeah, it definitely requires a lot of boldness that I don't have naturally.
I would say with soccer, it's been a unique experience because you get to become really close with people who come from all different backgrounds. They don't have the same beliefs as you. So I think just already being close with them because they're on your team. One way I've been able to impact my culture for Christ is just continually inviting people to come to church with me, even if you know they're probably going to say no. Just keeping that invitation open. And just praying and hoping that one day they'll say yes and come with you. I think that's important. Also just to realize who's around you and who's close to you, and that it's important to have an impact on them as well.
I know one thing like that specifically like is specific to Alabama. Pi Phi's their philanthropy is Read, Lead, Achieve, which we get the opportunity to go and help elementary school age kids read and learn how to read, and that was something I was very passionate about. But I got to like I got paired with this student all through the first semester, and I got to be a continuous like just praying over them, praying for that one specific student, even though I wasn't told to or any of that through Pi Phi, but I got to just impact them in that way. And I mean, Alabama has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country, so it was just really cool to be like, I am making a change, and I'm also like fostering a Christian community.
Wonderful. I think we have time for one more question.
If you could take yourself back to when you were at PCS, freshman, maybe sophomore year, kind of at the beginning of upper school, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say really lean into the Christian worldview. Going to a big public university, like I've chosen and many of us here, you don't have the same sense of community that you have here at Providence of people who are, you're surrounded by good Christian mentors and Christian peers also, and avid truth seekers, and it's just not the same in college. So I would encourage myself, maybe a freshman or something like that in high school, to just really lean into the Christian worldview, because that's what you'll take with you not only into college but for the rest of your life. And college is, I'd say, really one of the first big opportunities that you have to practice that as your own person and not necessarily under the roof of your parents, and really take ownership of your faith. And So lean into the ethics, lean into the apologetics, and studying the Word here at Providence, because that will really help to chain down your beliefs, going out into a world that is increasingly hostile to Christian values. So.
Gus?
Yeah, so my freshman year here is a long time ago, but I would, it's kind of corny, but I would just say, you know, really do appreciate the situation here at Providence, just because it's rare and you really don't get anything like it again. Like, my class size is smaller than pretty much every campus organization I've been a part of. Even the smallest campus organizations are bigger than my class size. And I'd recommend just, you know, really hold on and take care of the friendships you make at Providence. Like, I'm getting married in March. My best man is my close buddy from PCS, multiple my groomsmen. Our friends from PCS, you really do make friendships here that last a long time. Just because you're with them every single day, sometimes from like third grade, like that's crazy. You're never gonna, people will just not know you as well as those people. So I just say, hang on to that.
Wonderful. Well, let's give a round of applause for these amazing